This is Purpose Black Marketplace. Yeah. You already know what this is. Look, it's launch taking off like a boss. You know what this is. Look, it's launch taking off like a boss. Purpose Black Marketplace, headed to the top. Creating the next black millionaires round the globe. Come through and watch as we grow. And support the cause, cause we in it to win it. Let's put our peoples in the cockpit. Switching the situation. The black people around the world. We gon' make a change and send it for the world. Cause we got more than what it takes. But ain't no time to waste. This is more than a race. This Purpose Black Marketplace. Yeah. The next level, yeah. Cause we doing our thing. Change is what we bring. For the kings and the queens. So come hop up into the mix. Come with us on a trip. Cause you know just what it is. Purpose Black Marketplace.
Black Economy Excellence is proud to announce the establishment of the Global Center for Diversity and Inclusion. Now more than ever, corporations, nonprofits, and governmental entities recognize the urgent call for a better world, where equality and equity aren't just theories we discuss, but practices embraced throughout organizations from top to bottom. As a premier center for diversity and inclusion, our mission is to provide the tools, training, and knowledge that will empower organizations through webinars, research, conventions, publications, and networking to achieve their diversity and inclusion goals. As part of the B Initiative's Corporate Partners for B program, we invite you to take an active role as a corporate partner or sponsor to contribute to the success of our mission. Help us to keep momentum going as we strive to bring this critical change to the world with a solution that we can all be a part of. Join us. It's time to turn good words into powerful actions that reflect this unifying goal. Become a part of the Global Center for Diversity and Inclusion today.
Centuries-old racism and modern-day systemic racial discrimination can only be defeated with economic power.
One of the concrete ways to achieve Black economic power is to pool our resources and create our own destiny. This will enable us to build the perpetual collective wealth needed to control our own narrative, develop influence, and defeat the system that has crippled us for centuries.
We have to join hands, stand together, and say, enough is enough.
It is time for a Black economic power play that can only happen through Black economic unity.
To achieve this, we have launched the Global Black Economy Excellence B Initiative that strives to create the largest Black economic unity wealth fund in the world and unleash an economic power never seen before.
Our goal is to reclaim our dignity through economic empowerment.
The B Initiative plans to launch some of the largest corporations in the world that will serve and benefit Black communities around the globe. Our targets are to create 1 million Black millionaires by 2030, impact 1 billion Blacks economically around the world by 2035, to create the largest Black narrative media corporation in the world with more than 25 million subscribers by 2030.
The choice is ours. Why continue feeding the system that discriminated and marginalized us? Instead, let's create a new economic order with the purpose of benefiting us.
Join the B Initiative to change the course of history. A new chapter, where we control our destiny through our own economic empowerment.
You may join the B Initiative by 1. Establishing Black Champions chapters in your communities, 2. By becoming B corporate partners, and 3. By volunteering in the initiative.
Join now and benefit yourself,
your community,
and all the people who are suffering from economic injustice globally.
Black Economy Excellence.
Be excellent. For more information, call us at 833-WE-BLACK or 833-932-5225.
Visit our website, blackeconomyexcellence.com.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I thank you for joining us today. My name is Wilson Yerdal. I am the Managing Director of Webinars at Black Economy Excellence under the Global Center for Diversity and Inclusion, GCDI. Black Economy Excellence is a company that initiates Purpose Black, a new e-commerce platform with the aim of creating 1 million Black millionaires in the next 10 years. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to this, our second course webinar that is organized by our department with the topic, Reasons Holding Back from Becoming Successful in the Black Communities. This is in continuation to our training last week. For those of you who want to watch our previous webinars, you can get them on our YouTube channel. If you like us, please subscribe. Today's our presenter is Dr. Seged Hatold. Just on housekeeping before we get started, if you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the question box in your Zoom control panel. I'll bring them up during the presentation and we will have time for the answers at the end. I feel very proud to announce that Dr. Faisal Abdulmariam, the CEO, founder of this giant project, is here with us today. Thank you for your presence, Doctor. Now, let me direct you to our today's presenter, who is a senior trainer, writer, consultant, and very passionate about empowering individuals. Dr. Seged Hatold.
Thank you, Wilson. Everyone, thank you very much for being here for the second webinar. Today, we're going to talk about what are some of the things that are withholding the Black communities around the world. Of course, my focus is not about magnifying the challenges that the Black communities facing around the world. Rather, I want to make sure that we have the awareness, most importantly, to really recognize the impacts of these challenges, these barriers, and then do something about them. Of course, this is not my mandate today to talk about how we can really overcome these all obstacles collectively. Today, I want to make sure that everything that I'm going to share with you, it should be practical at individual level, which means we're not pinpointing our fingers somewhere to overcome these challenges that are withholding the Black communities from becoming successful, great in what we do, and become wealthy. So welcome to this webinar. I'm gonna rush. I have a lot of contents. I wanna rush you through, but I wanna engage with you in conversation during the question and answer. Let me quickly share with you the PowerPoints. Today, my goal is making sure that we identify the major roadblocks that are withholding the Black communities around the world, and then recognize their impacts, direct and indirect impacts. And then we're going to talk about how can we remove these barriers. So these are three objectives that we have today. Now let's start with the 5 major reasons. So there are a lot of reasons why the Black communities are not tapping into our full potential and become world class. There are a lot of reasons, but I'm not talking about all of those reasons. At least these are the 5 ones I'm gonna cover with the time I have. The first one is externalizing our challenges. Rather than owning our challenges, saying that, you know what, we created this mess and we're going to clean this up. We externalize our challenges. With that comes helplessness. With that comes lose of control, because the moment you externalize your own challenges, you're not in charge. Somebody has to fix them. The second reason is failing to take personal responsibilities. This is about stepping up wherever we are, then depending on individuals, depending on other organizations, depending on governments. No, we have to take our responsibilities, but that's not happening around the world. The belief that foreign is better, this is really a killer, because somehow we think we're less. We don't, verbally say that, but we think we're less. Our products, our services are less than others. And that has been a challenge for the Black communities around the world. The fourth reason is lack of cooperation among Blacks. This is also about not creating coalitions, partnerships to come together, leverage our potential, individual and collective potential, and that's coming in the way for Blacks to be the best in the world, to be successful and wealthy. The fifth reason is absence of strong values. This is about our culture. We have to be honest. Our culture, there are a lot of great values that we have. We have to keep them. But because we lack some values that are critical for transformation, we are the products of our culture. And because of that, we couldn't be able to become the best in the world. Let's dive in and talk about the first one, externalizing our challenges. I have talked to many friends, colleagues, activists, politicians, diplomats. You have already noticed that. They are passionate about the Black community. They're passionate about Africa. But most of the time, when you look at these jealous, passionate leaders, their focus is slave trade, colonization, racism, and globalizations. These are the reasons why we are where we are. Now, these all happen. I'm not denying them. They need to be recognized. They need to be tackled. Most importantly, we have to make sure that they don't happen again. But the moment we say that these are the reasons why we are here, we lost the battle. Because there are other communities who were brutalized, colonized, but they overcame their challenges because they owned it. Let me give you a good example. Think about South Africa and Singapore. Singapore, in the 50s, before that, for decades, she was colonized by British, Japanese, brutalized. But the moment they became free, the moment they liberated themselves, their founder, Lee Kuan Yew, he decided that, you know what? The past is past. We want to be partner with you. We want to work with you. Because they determined that regardless of what happened against them, they didn't want to externalize the challenges they had. They were poor. Nobody knew Singapore back then. And they were a very small country. Think about them. They are less than 5 million people. If you just go there and survey them, they don't even have natural resources that the Black communities that we have, they didn't have. Less than 5 million, they don't have great resources, but they determined to become world-class. Guess what? Within decades, they are actually having the highest individual GDP than the United States. Where are the rich people in the world? In Singapore. Now just switch to South Africa. South Africa overcame the most brutal regime, which is apartheid. The first thing many people want to do was to revenge the white community. Rather than learning from them, partner with them, they want a revenge. Mandela stood in front of them, begged them to make sure that they don't discard, they don't destroy the asset they have. Because for South Africa to be successful, the economy, the technology, the military, everything was under the white minorities. It doesn't give sense discarding them and start from scratch. You already won your freedom. Why don't you use them, work with them, partner with them to be successful? Singapore did that. Actually, Singaporeans, they begged the British government to stay in Singapore until they become self-sustaining. They wanted the army, the navy to stay in Singapore until they become sustainable. Immediately, they reconciled with Japan, started to be friendly with China, and so on. They were very minute. They didn't have a lot of leverage. So they partnered, and today they can choose with whom to partner. Today, they are respected. They are peers with their former colonizers. The Black community, yes, we have been brutalized, colonized, abused. The way out is not to externalize, go to the past and dwell there forever. That completely takes away our control. To be honest with you, the challenges that we have, the majority of them are internal than external. We could overcome them. We could succeed. The external ones, once we overcome the internal, that would be easy. The fight which is hardest is the internal one. Now, the impact of externalizing our problems and blaming other situations in the past is that we become helpless. We act victim. And indirectly, we are believing that we are not in charge of our own destiny. Actually, we are admitting that we're not equal with others who brutalized us. Think about this. If you think you're a peer of someone, you don't make it a big deal. You just chat with them and hang out with them because you think you're equal. But when you feel somebody's bigger than you, higher than you, better than you always pick fight with them, trying to show that you're something better than them, or at least showing them that you're not that underdog. So the point I have is these challenges are real. They need to be tackled. But the way to do them is not to externalize our challenges, rather to believe that. What are some of the things that we can change? What are some of the things that we can own? If we do that, we could be able to really come out of the challenges that we face. This is a concept called the circle of influence. If you are a leader, the moment you externalize, the moment you say, these are my concerns, there's nothing I can do, you lost the control. You're not the commander of your destiny. And therefore, you cannot overcome your challenges. In leadership, you have to make sure that your circle of influence is higher than the circle of concern. As you can see, the circle of no concern is the best circle. There are things you and I, the Black communities, we're not concerned about. There are, however, a lot of things that we're concerned about. But those things that we are concerned about, some of them, they are out of our control. Especially now, because of lack of leverage that we have, there are a lot of things that we don't have leverage. Rather than focusing on them, we could focus in our circle of influence. When you start leadership, when you start to change your destiny, your circle of influence, as you can see, is just a dot. But what you could do is to bring those circle of concerns, which means the challenges that we face. Let's say, why are we not the best in the world? Why are not our products and our services are not competing worldwide? Why don't we unite together, work together, synergize together? All of these circle of concerns, bring them into your circle of influence, believing that these are my own issues. I can handle them. And you're gonna have what? This kind of circle of influence, which means your circle of influence enlarged, as you can see. Your circle of influence shrinks. So the Black communities, to come out of the challenges that we have to believe that we are in charge. We have to believe that whatever challenge that we face, we have to be the ones owning it and solve it than blaming the past or externalizing it. I hope you got, so in the discussion, I will explain if you have any question. The second challenge that the Black communities around the world that we have is lack of taking personal responsibilities. This is about blaming our genes, our parents, our ancestors, even our siblings and friends and colleagues about why we are who we are, where we are in life. Transferring responsibility to others, saying that, you know, this is the responsibility of my organization or this association, so and so, and also depending on others, on our governments, waiting to be rescued by external forces, outside forces. A lot of communities around the world, in Black communities, we expect somehow we're gonna have rescuers from around the world to come and rescue us. Even if we have some rescuers within our communities, we don't believe in them. We think, oh, they're like me, they're Black. We're waiting somewhere outside. Some of us, we wait for God. Some of us for angels. For some of us, the universe to rescue us. Some of us even to look for other governments in Europe, America, in Asia to rescue us. There is no rescue except yourself. And the Black communities, we have to admit that. We have to take responsibility. Humans have to be responsible. Even God won't do anything unless we take responsibilities, unless we do our part. There is no rescue from the spirit world, from the real world. The impact of that is we have weak citizenry, weak communities, and we become unreliable individually when we're not taking personal responsibilities. We become undependable. And even the people who are working hard, I can tell you, when you see that people who are not responsible are okay, you think that, why should I be responsible? Why should I work hard? There is no incentive. Some communities, they're very smart. They have rewarding systems for people who are responsible. They filter the best and reward them, celebrate them. And because of that, the whole citizen, the whole generation believe that there's no shortcut. You have to man up. You have to women up and do your part. Otherwise, you may not eat. For example, in America, if you are 18, you have to be self-sustaining. They're gonna kick you out from home. Now, we have some people who are in their 40s and they really eat from the table of their mothers and fathers. It's good to be generous for people. It's good to really support one another, but we are too far away. And because of that, we're not tapping into each individual. Another thing I want to mention is when we're not taking responsibilities and become dependents, it's a sickness. Always waiting someone to feed us, someone to support us, not taking responsibilities. I already talked to you last time about some of the layers that we're facing as challenges. Under each of these layers, starting from inside out, we can do something about it to take responsibilities. We have to play our fair share of responsibilities. For example, we talked about genes. For example, when it comes to the diseases that we may contract, less than 5% of them are genetic. More than 95% of them, they come because of our lifestyle, which means we have more control to be healthy. We cannot blame our genes for being sick, being weak, being poor. We cannot blame our families because you can take someone from a poor family, put that person to somewhere in another family, and that person may become quickly successful. They may not even experience the same challenges, the same disease the other family has. Why? Environment has power. So I cannot blame my family for where I am. I take responsibility and help my brothers, my sisters, and become better, be part of the solution. Our culture, look at other cultures. There are other cultures who are very effective. I'll share some of them. But we can play something to change our cultures, to reform our cultures. We can also vote, interfere, and reforms change, really to bring change, which means we have to be responsible at all levels. I want to give you a good example, analogy, how eagles raise their eaglets. First of all, they make the nate uncomfortable to the eaglets so that they don't overstay on the nate. It's too rough. They have to quickly become self-sufficient and fly because it's not comfortable, as you can see. And also the eagle, the mother, she will take the baby eaglets on top of mountains, throw them down to fly, and catch them before they crash. The Black community, we have to make our people responsible. We have to be responsible. We have to make our communities responsible. If we don't do that, we remain where we are. Foreign is better. This is everybody, in this group, I have experienced that. You have experienced that. I don't need to spend a lot of time on this one. We always believe that, something is wrong with us because we're Black, but we're not. There's nothing wrong with us. And also we believe that others are better. I can give you a good example. I had a very honest chat with one of my friends. He had a lot of degrees, okay? This is a well-educated guy, okay? He had some wine, okay? And he really belittled my passion to empower people to be great, to be leaders. So he told me, Sagir, I know you always talk about we can be great, we can be leader, but let me tell you that we Blacks, we're not. Think about the innovations in the world. Think about the successful people in the world. Can you name for me any Black person who is the inventor of Apple or this and that? I was shocked. I was sitting there because I know a lot of inventors, because I know a lot of billionaires and a lot of millionaire Blacks. But for this guy, even if he's technically educated, he thinks that Blacks are not inventors. Blacks are not meant to be leaders, successful and great. And he actually thought I was faking it. I was just saying it because I'd like to say that. I was saying it because I'm trying to feed my ego or his ego. No, I truly believe that. You can cut my blade and you could be able to see that I believe that Blacks are like every other community. They are candidates to be great. And of course, we idolize and put other communities on the pedestal, always undermine ourselves. Of course, these could be because of implicit and explicit biases. We all have biases. Some of them are positive, some of them are negative. For example, I may have positive biases towards Ethiopians. When I chat with some Ethiopians, I could say, we Ethiopians are good in this and this. I may have negative biases against my own people, against Blacks. The question is this: are you aware? If I'm not aware, what happens? I have biases. Sometimes, I sit down in panels and I watch the panelists. When somebody walks in, some of them, they already recruited this guy. Before he said anything, before they asked any question, what do you think happened? Subconsciously, they liked this person. Maybe the way that person walks, the way that person looks, the way that person dressed, or that person's race, color, gender. You don't know, they don't know. How could you be able to really give 5-5 for this person without asking questions? Without this person opens his mouth? Bias. The bias could be positive, negative. The question is this: we have a lot of negative biases towards ourselves in our communities. We have more positive biases. So we have to be self-aware. And the key to that is, actually, let me see my time. Oh, okay, I have 15 minutes, okay, I'll rush it. Let me embarrass my own Ethiopian communities. I take the blame. Oprah Winfrey, she visited Addis Ababa. Many of you know the story. People at the airport ignoring her because she is Black. They were after her aides, her assistants she hired. Maybe they're paid a couple of $100,000. She is a billionaire. She is smart. She's a queen. Everybody who has a sense of dignity, it doesn't matter your race, you cannot help except to appreciate her, except to honor her. But what happened? They passed her at the airport, worshiping the people who are working for her. She was so disappointed that Of course, I never heard that from her. I'm not sure, but she took her projects into South Africa. What happens to our community? Bias. Because she's a Black, she's not worthy of carrying her bag. Because somebody is not Black, is worthy of carrying that person's bag. It's embarrassing. Of course, if I have to carry, if that's my job, I have to carry this person's bag, that person's bag, regardless of who they are. But we all have biases. Unfortunately, we Blacks, we have biases, negative biases against ourselves. I face so many biases. I can go to compete with a fellow white trainer, and I see from nonverbals, from the way they look at me, even they wonder that how a Black guy compete with a white person. How come? Because for them, a Black man not supposed to be a leadership expert, not supposed to write a book, not supposed to be a motivational speaker. Can you imagine the biases? I don't mean that everybody is like that, but we have to face that. The impact is whenever you have a negative bias against your community, against your people, which means you have no self-respect for yourself because you cannot give what you don't have. You have poor self-image and undercut your own self. If I undermine a fellow Black without, I'm not saying that because somebody is a Black should be celebrated because this is somebody who's Black so that I should have bias. No, positive bias. I'm not saying that. If there are products, services, they should be based on merits. Which product to buy, which service to buy, regardless of who the owner of those products and services. So I'm not saying we should have positive biases towards Blacks. We have to work with other people from other races. And if there are products and services better than our own communities, buy from them. They could be Chinese, Americans, Europeans, Spanish, it doesn't matter. The point is, we should have self-respect. We should have positive image, but we can't have that unless we have positive image, self-respect to our own fellow Blacks. It works, by the way, at subconscious level. The way to beat it is each and every one of us, what we could do is to be self-aware. Okay, who am I? I'm not blood, flesh, bone. No, I'm not. My soul came from eternity. I am the image of God. And I have billions of brain cells, which connect 20,000 with other 20,000 brain cells. I have a brain which is more complex than the universe. Doesn't matter my color. I can imagine, I can visualize even more than at the speed of light. That makes me human. That makes me potentially for greatness, to become successful in what I do. So not my color, not my body, not my flesh, not my bones, that makes me special. The non-forms, the invisible part of me is great. And that doesn't matter whether your color is Black or white. We all are the same when it comes to our true self. And we have to have also self-management. Once we know who we are, we have to tap into our potential. Once we tap into our potential, our image increases. We have respect for ourselves and we become captains of our own ship. We have respect for ourselves, for others, and so on. I have 10 minutes, so let me be quick. Lack of cooperation. This is also one of the challenges that you find among the Black community. We have the illusions that I'm self-sufficient, so I don't need another Black partner. Failing to see greatness in others. We always believe that we're better than others. Focusing on the weaknesses of others. I meet a lot of people. The moment I mention somebody and I say, this is a great guy, he has done this, they stop me. Oh, you don't know that he failed this. Oh, you don't know that he made this mistake. Actually, if you introduce me yourself as a perfect person, I don't want to be your friend. You know how Bill Gates hire his executives? He has one question at the end of the interview, which makes or breaks. He asks this: have you ever failed? If you try to be nice before him and telling him, impress him, saying that, no, I never failed, you're out. What's happening with us? The more somebody fails, the more somebody makes mistakes, the more this person is wise, the more this person is more comprehensive, having a lot of perspectives. So if somebody comes to me and tell me, hey, Asagid, I'm a great boxer, I have black belt, I don't care. I just look at your face. If I don't see any scar, I'm not impressed. In our communities, in the Black community, we don't appreciate people's qualities and strength because we always find something wrong. We always find some weaknesses. But go to other communities. Actually, they chase people like that. People who are underdogs turn into top dogs. They worship them. They appreciate them because they know they overcame a lot. And through the process, they failed. Another thing is lack of trust. Trust is a two-way street. And I have seen it again and again. Of course, there are some people that you cannot trust. They always are mischievous. But the fact that we are inherently mistrusting one another, that's damaging the Black community. How can we build? That is the question. It takes time because trust takes time. Here are the impacts. We cannot have synergy unless we create cooperation. For example, when I volunteer to facilitate these webinars, I've been very busy. Actually, I'm on vacation. But I liked the idea of bringing together Blacks and making 1 million of them millionaires in 10 years. That was impressive to me. I couldn't be able to do that kind of things me. But if I can do little things like this one to support this initiative, be it. I'll give myself whatever I know. I support that because people like Dr. Fissa, like Wasson and others who are behind this vision, they came together and they are creating platform, people to collaborate, to come together and grow together, become successful and wealthy together. This is a new culture. We don't see that much. When you bring synergy together, however, you can really defeat anything. This is a mega vision, challenging vision. But if people come together, they can be able to do anything. And we don't have group leverage. If we're not coming together, we don't have leverage politically, economically, diplomatically. Absence of coalitions, we're not strategic. Go and see other communities. They have a lot of lobbies for their communities. In our community, we just come together, for example, among Ethiopian communities. We come together, we always are inward looking. We're not branching out, we are not partnering others. One of the things I loved about the Black economic excellence is because the founder and many of the leaders are Ethiopians, but they are standing up for other communities. This is, for me, is just amazing. And we have to encourage that kind of, because the more we create platforms, leverage cooperations, the more we become successful. We have to learn from ants. We Blacks are underdogs. We have a lot of challenges. We are undermined, discriminated, abused. We are underdogs. Unless we come together like ants, we cannot become successful. Like honeybees, we have to have a colony of people working together, creating synergy. Look at the Jewish community. I don't need to tell you a lot about them, but they suffered a lot in the hands of Hitler. And now they come together, help one another, creating partnerships, coalitions, to make sure that that won't happen again. The Black community, having a lot of challenges, we should have come together. We should have created a lot of fronts together to make sure that the past won't happen again. We won't be abused. We become equal. We respect others. We partner with others. We become peers with others. and contribute our fair share. The same, even in the United States, look at the Spanish community. They may have their own inherent challenges, but they are one front when it comes to the Spanish culture, the Spanish community. I'm not saying there are not a lot of Black partnerships and coalitions, but compared to our numbers, we don't have that. Another thing is absence of strong values. I want to give you a good example on this one. South Korea and Ghana. There was a research in the 1960s. The research was done to see what happened between these two countries. In the 60s, both these countries were on equal footing. They had the same GDP. They were getting the same assistance, aids, and also the products and services they were manufacturing, they were almost the same. However, South Korea, they decided to change their cultures, to change their values, to cut some values and add some important empowering values. Values like excellence, discipline, hard work, quality. Within a couple of decades, South Koreans became one of the developed nations. Ghana, you know the story. So it's not because Ghanaians are Blacks. It's because they didn't look deep into their values and create a culture that produces great world-class communities. I used to be a veterinarian, so I know how culturing works. For example, in the lab, I can have two cultures. I can use the same bacteria to create two different bacteria at the end of the day. One petri dish, one culture. I can have some substance, put it in a different pH, a different acidity, put different nutrients into that culture. I can have another petri dish, another culture, different substance, different nutrients in different environment, different pH, different acidity, and so on. I can use the same bacteria. I can plant it in this culture, another bacteria, the same bacteria in this culture. You know what kind of results I could get? I could get vaccine from this culture. I could also get from this culture biological weapon. The same bacteria, different culture, different results. What happened? The environment. The question to the Black communities around the world is, we should not be blind loyals to our culture. Culture is supposed to evolve. Every civilization that failed, they failed because they failed to evolve. They failed to reform their cultures. The Black community in the 21st century, what kind of culture we need? We don't need to copy and paste other cultures. We have rich culture, but we have to be honest. We should avoid blind loyalty and evaluate our core values, see which ones are sabotaging us. By the way, 2/3 of change fail mainly because of the lack of some values or the existence of some negative values. 2/3 of change fails. Whatsoever change you plan to do among your communities, if you have certain values that contradict the change, if you don't have some values that are going to promote, support that change, it fails, whether it's in a Black community or in a white community. The question is, what are our values? Now, these are the most important values we should have in our Black communities. Hard work needs to be promoted. Our systems, our organizations, our families need to really create these values within our communities. And I want to focus, just because I don't have time, let me go to just one of the values, excellence. Excellence means doing your best. Rather than, oh, for this client, for this group, I'm gonna give rated B work. For this group, because of this and this, I produce A+. which means you're not giving your best to everybody. Excellence means you give your best every day, every time, to everyone. It's part of who you are. That's your second nature. It defines you. You're quality driven. Continuous improvement is your mission in your organization, in your family, as a person. You grow and learn. Let me give you one thing and I want to stop. You know what people say about books and blacks? I didn't know this, by the way, because I have been reading books. One day somebody stopped me and he told me that, I see that you're writing books, but the black communities, they don't read books. Actually, he told me that if you want to hide something from blacks, just put it in books. If you want to hide something good, put it in books. And blacks won't find it. Now, I'm black, I read books, so this is not true. But I can tell you from my experience that we don't have a lot of blacks reading not for the sake of reading to grow, reading to become better. Until we become world-class, we cannot become world-class citizens. Until we grow and learn, because leaders are learners. We can dominate our industry. We cannot become competitive. Now, we can rally together. We can come together, get mad, protest, and do whatever hell we want to do. If we're not good enough, we cannot earn respect from any community, and we don't deserve it. While we're fighting injustice, while we are rectifying what's wrong, the key thing is we have to have excellence. We have to compete globally. Our product, our services, what we do should stand really the test of time, and it should be the best in the world. Once we do that, the world cannot help it but to buy from us. If people are not buying from us, we'll not become successful if they're not looking for our services, because this is 21st century, a globalized world. We cannot just keep ourselves within our community and become successful. No way. I want to conclude by saying this. Yes, we have a lot of challenges like every other community. So I'm not saying that we are the only one in trouble. I'm also not saying that these troubles, we cannot overcome them. I'm not also saying that we need help from others. I'm saying that you and I, with the level we can, we're imperfect. We have a lot of limitations. We don't have a lot of resources, but with what we have, we can really overcome the barriers that are keeping us from being successful and wealthy. And we have what it takes. And I'm glad that this platform is designed to really overcome these and stage and set up blacks to become wealthy, successful, and millionaires. Thank you for attending and watching this. And I look forward to your questions.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Atsegid. That was awesome. I'm sure we all benefit from the points that are raised on this great presentation. Especially, I like to stress that your cooperation with Black Economy Excellence and what you are doing is much appreciated. Thank you again. Now, we will go ahead and take the questions from our participants. Just a reminder, please be sure to type your questions into the question box in your control panel. In the meanwhile, please feel free to give us your review on the forms provided. It will help us to improve ourselves and serve you better in the future. I think we have one question. It's from Abdu, and it says like, which culture of Ethiopians do you think is negatively impacting the growth and development of its citizens and should be dropped instantly? Doctor.
Thank you very much for that question. It's a great question. You know, I'm not a cultural expert. I'm not saying that I have the right to say this works, it doesn't work, but I can only share my personal experience. And then you can use that to extrapolate about the cultural elements that we need to keep and the cultural elements that we need to change. The first thing I want to say is we have a great culture. Actually, the way I am, the way I could be able to succeed in America because of our culture, because of our past, because of our history. Our fathers, our 40 fathers, our 40 mothers, they fought for our freedom. That's why I can speak boldly. I don't have a lot of experiences when it comes to colonization and so on and so forth. It pains me how much other Blacks have been affected because of colonization. But I don't have that impact. At least that gave me a head start. So I could say that who I am today and where I am today is because of the culture I grew up with. So I'm thankful. And there are a lot of cultural elements. We support one another. We look after one another. We love our country. We love our culture. And we are hardworking people. Whenever I go to different companies to facilitate workshops, they tell me that, oh, your people, I have so-and-so working with me for me. Wow, they're disciplined, they're decent, they have character. These all great qualities of Ethiopians, we need to keep them. But I can give you some cultural aspects that I fought, some cultural aspects are still affecting me. I believe it affects many of you here. Is one of the things, for example, is that I mentioned some of them. We don't appreciate our own people. I meet a lot of people who are very honest. They will tell me they prefer to buy from Europe or China than to buy locally. This is foreign is better kind of mentality, should be disinfected from our culture. I can give you another one. We encourage backbiting, fistering, ganging up against others. We are bitter. Maybe it's good sometimes when we face our enemies because we're bitter, we want to succeed, we want to win. But we have also in our culture that entertains for people to walk around, backbite other people, and go against people. It's just encouraged because that's why you see people speak behind people. They don't speak in front of them. They go around and there are people who are listening to them. And that discourages people. That really destroys our fabric. We cannot come together. Remember, I mentioned the importance of partnership, the importance of coalition. We have to tell people straightforward feedback. You're doing this, continue to do. You're not doing well on this one, stop it. As far as we're giving and receiving feedback among ourselves, we can become better. As a community, we focus on our strength, not always on our weaknesses. This is one of the cultural aspects we need to fight. Another is dependence. I saw it from our youth. I saw it from some of our leaders, how much dependent we are on help from outside, from trying to look for rescue from outside. Publicly, we don't say it, but at home, when we are alone, we don't have confidence on our own leaders, on our own professionals. We always look for others to rescue us, especially now compared to when I was in Ethiopia. I came here 15 years ago. Now, I went back in 2018 and I was shocked. The dependency. Another cultural element which is inculcated recently is corruption. If a culture is corrupt, it doesn't go anywhere. And one of the things that Black communities need to fight, including Ethiopians, is corruption. Corruption is one of the most fatal cultural elements that destroys communities. We have to detest it. We have to uproot it. We have to make it a sin, public, private sin. We have to really detest people who are corrupt. And I just mentioned a couple of cultural elements that need to be uprooted for us to be successful in our community, but they're not exceptional among Ethiopians. It's among the Black community. As I told you, our culture needs to be reformed. We have to keep what is working, and we have to change what's not working.
Okay, Doctor, here is another question. It says, did the Black community around the world get the same support like others that help them to grow economically?
I have to be honest with you. They're not supported. For example, the United States supported Europe after World War II. Billions of dollars under Marshall Plan was invested in Europe to lift Europe from devastation from World War II. We would be grateful if we have that kind of investment from any race, from any community. But I can tell you this, that's the whole purpose of this webinar. If we wait for that kind of uplifting from outside, if we try to our best for others to support us, to have pity for us, forget about it. This is not the routes that are going to change the destiny of Blacks. Work hard, change your own destiny. If they help you, great. Especially if you show some life, believe me, they want to support you genuinely. Rather than giving you fish, they start to give you net. The problem we have right now is we look for support, financial support, aid. I'm not saying we don't need that. Many of the African governments, they won't stand for one day unless they get loans and aid. So I'm not saying that we can just survive by ourselves at this point. And if we get help, we have to look for it. It's a head start. But the long-term solution for us is whether we're helped or not, whether we're not treated fairly or not, whether we're getting the support that we deserve or not. Can we muster, can we bring together the resources that we have and be, innovative to change our own destiny? That's why I shared about the circle of influence. We have to bring in everything that's out of our control, bring it in and own it. And that's when actually the wind of righteousness is going to blow in our side. Because the universe will never incentivize, God will never incentivize laziness or irresponsibility or unindependentness. Because it's a fair, just universe. Even if God has empathy for the poor, for the afflicted, and so on, but we can see from the way the universe works is actually, if you read the Bible, I read Bible, I'm not a religious person, it says, for those who have, it will be added to them. For those who don't have, it's taken away from them. I cannot change that. So let's have more so that we can have more.
Okay, I am waiting for some questions. I think we have it all. So, great then. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you for being here with us today. We have the coming next course webinar at the same time on Saturday that is related to today's topic on November 14th. We will deal with the topic, Lessons from Black Millionaires. You can go and register on our website, www.blackeconomyexcellence.com/GCDI webinars, and you can invite others. Thank you very much and see you next time. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.